Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. It's Valentina here, and we are on the forum stage. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. I've got another great speaker coming up for you, and I would like to do a little introduction for her. So, the next speaker has over 10 years' experience in community strategy and building. Her expertise spans several industries and includes communications, marketing, leadership, and operations. Her greatest inspiration is her mother, Hannah, who taught her the value of connection and belonging. Originally from New Jersey, Phoebe now lives in Northern California with her husband and son. Please help me welcome to the stage, Phoebe Venkat.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks so much, Valentina. I'm really excited to chat with you all today. So let's just dive into it. Let me get my screen share up and running. Thanks for your patience while I do that. Thanks for the claps I see coming through. All right. So as Valentina mentioned, I'm from Okta, and I'm here to talk about how to accelerate your community's growth and value and take a peek into how we are doing it and have done it at Okta. And as you mentioned, I have about 10 plus years of community building and related experience. I'm also someone who really thrives by helping others succeed, right? And service to others is how I choose to lead. I have experience ranging in several industries, from early stage startup as well as Fortune 5. And of course, I love my family, stand-up comedy, reading, pastries, and scotch, and we could move on from there. That's my alter ego, Flame Princess from Adventure Time. So the community team at Okta, we're in this department called Customer First Programs, which powers scaled experiences that include community knowledge, customer insights, as well as customer first solutions. The community really is our customer base camp. It's about learning and support, peer-to-peer success, customer influence and driven innovation, and of course, scaling resources and expertise, those of our colleagues as well as our customers. So before we dive into the Okta story, let's zoom out a little bit. And for those of you that are less familiar with customer-based communities, you may be wondering, why are companies even investing in customer communities? Here are a few research points that may help you out. First, companies want to increase product upsell and cross-sell opportunities, right? There's data that shows that customers adding new products or features because of their community participation. Organizations, of course, also want to improve customer service and support. And we do see analysis from Higher Logic that shows customer communities integrated with support systems can reduce costs up to 50%. And as a side note, Okta's community platform is integrated with our support and case system. And of course, companies want to drive renewals, right? Show us the money. And we have our own data at Okta that shows that community engaged customers are 60+% more likely to renew than those that are not. So at our community, flipping back to Okta, we knew that the community already existed, but it needed the seeds planted in order to nurture it for growth and value for our company, but more importantly for our customers. So we really had to think of a master plan, just like Eric B. or Rakim. You don't want to be a joke. So we thoughtfully invested in 5 key areas. The first is we benchmarked with a top external consultant. Second, we invested in a new community team and structure. Third, we defined a roadmap and regularly released enhancements. Fourth, we delivered major cross-company initiatives working with other teams. And last but not least, we expanded the community's footprint. That's something we're still doing today. So let's dive into benchmarking the community. You may be wondering, why do this? You know what needs to be fixed. You know what needs to be enhanced. Sure, you know these things. It's important to also have objective data that can tell you where you need to go. Sometimes we're a little bit too close to our work, so it's hard to see the really great things that are happening and some of the things that are maybe not as great. So let's take a look at the left. We have a real life example from Phoebes, that's the consultancy we worked with for our benchmarking. And it's just diving in specifically to strategy. How were we doing at that time? Now, this is nearly two years ago that we did this initial benchmarking. And it shows that around certain tactics, for example, we weren't in a good place at that time. Whereas in goals, looked like we had some good progress there. So we knew we need to focus a lot on tactics. This will help you prioritize your time and resources. Looking over to the left, you can see we were also benchmarked against different companies in different industries that have support communities and portals to see where we lay in different factors. And here is just an example in terms of how Okta Community was doing for personalization. So at the time this was benchmarked, we didn't have any personalization. We're actively working on that right now, and that's something we'll be working on over the next year plus. Next up, we invested in a new community team and structure. This allowed us to develop our vision and really accelerate growth. I'm 1/3 of that team, and the other 2 members of my team are Tim Lopez. He's a program manager responsible for our community engagement and social care strategy. And then we have Molly Masterson, who's program manager and responsible for our community leaders and Okta Ideas program. Because it's the 3 of us, it's lean and mean, so we all kind of know each other's work and can pitch in as needed. The third thing we did was define the community product roadmap. Prior to our team forming, if you can believe it, we didn't have a set roadmap. How things were added to our platform and enhancements were requested was really just ad hoc. You know, if someone thought of an idea, it went to our IT and development organization. You could imagine that it's really hard to scale and really hard to measure impact. So this roadmap helped us deliver value-add features that increase adoption and moments of delight for our customers and community members. Different things that we produced so far include new homepage banner for key announcements that our colleagues use, a refreshed welcome email. I'm really proud of the fresh new homepage design that came out earlier this year. These are just a few things. I'm bragging a little here, but I'm really proud of all the work all the teams have put together. Fourth, we partnered with teams across Okta on major cross-functional initiatives. These initiatives really shifted the customer experience across Okta's major web properties. There's a few listed here. I want to dive just a little bit into unified search. So for those who are unfamiliar, you can have obviously a search experience. Everyone's familiar with Google or going to different websites and searching on there. For our major websites like our community, our www site, our developer site, we were all powered by different searches. You can imagine that can be a frustrating experience for customers. And also they're not getting to the product adoption information that they need quickly. So we teamed up across Okta. Several teams worked together along with engineering to deliver a unified search. And of course, we're in the adoption phase now to make it better, but this was a great beginning to bring together that experience so customers didn't have to hunt and peck. We also focused on expanding the community's footprint, right? We started meeting customers and developers where they are, right? They're not just hanging out in our community help center. They're attending user groups, they're in industry Slacks that are not run by Okta. They're online posting about Okta. We've got to be there to listen. One of the areas we really focused on was building a strong relationship with the Okta marketing team. They run the customer user groups. So that was a great partnership for us to build out to show that we care about our marketing colleagues, we care about our customers. So we would go and show up and present at the different meetups, but also just be part of the team, right? Stacking up the chairs, cleaning up after the user groups, and just showing the customers like we're one team. It's also a great area to get direct feedback from customers, chatting with them and breaking bread. So you may be wondering, okay, show me the results, right? It's great that we think we did well. What do the customers and other people think? Well, industry experts and customers have responded and are still responding positively to some of the work we did. You'll see here on the left is one of our customers, Marcus, who's at a nonprofit, and he really benefits from participating in the community. He's actually part of our super users program, and he really enjoys partnering with our team and with the community because he feels like it gives him a really positive relationship with Okta, and he trusts us. And we have over on the right, one of the industry experts, Rich Millington, speaking about actually pointing out the tiny tweaks that we make, right? It's not always going to be big splashy updates like a big homepage refresh. The tiny tweaks can really help move the needle on where you want to go. And I say this because I know that not everybody is working with a full development or platform team. So you can make those tiny tweaks and show the wins from there. All right, one of my favorite slides. So our investments directly impacted community growth. And you can see here for nearly 2 fiscal years prior to our team forming and putting together all these different enhancements, the active membership was pretty stagnant. And now we've really grown at an exponential pace. And year over year, we've increased active membership by 174%. Really proud of the work that all the teams have put into this, and we're going to continue to strive for more. So by making the right investments last year, we really set a strong foundation for this year for impact. This year's vision is making our community the product destination. We want to increase feature and release enablement through targeted community engagement, and we're actively at work on this now. We're focusing on 4 areas. The first is the most important, is making community the destination for all new feature information. Customers are telling us and were telling us that they really were tired of looking at several different sites, which they consider siloed experiences, in order to find the adoption information they needed to learn the Okta products and build. So you'll see an example on the right here for our product called Lifecycle Management. This is a mock-up that's currently being worked on right now by our development team. And what this mock-up shows is that we're bringing together content, product documentation, knowledge articles, community experience such as Q&A and group discussions will all be bundled into one hub just around lifecycle management. Our plan is to ship this by the end of our quarter and then continue to make more product hubs. We'll also be releasing a release hub in the near future too. As I mentioned before, we want to continue expanding the portfolio to better meet customers where they are. So earlier this year, we were lucky to have Tim Lopez join our team. He was already on the Okta team, and he had built out and ran the customer support function for social care. And now that he's part of our team, our charter has adjusted slightly because we want to be able to bring the wins from social care and the wins in moderation and engagement, what we're doing well in both platforms, and bring it together across the different community touch points that our team is responsible for. This is really exciting work that's happening. And third, we want to embed customer feedback into the product planning process. Obviously there's data that shows that customers want to be part of how we build our products. They want to influence. So last year, Molly on my team produced and executed the go live of Okta Ideas, which is our new idea request platform where customers can go in and submit different product features and requests. They can vote up the ideas, and if we reach a certain threshold, which right now is 20, but that will be adjusted over time, we guarantee a response by the product team. So we're knee deep in the adoption phase now. What adoption means is we're getting customers to adopt this Okta Ideas platform, while at the same time working very closely with our product colleagues to make sure that not only they adopting and agree, right, and that they're also responding to the ideas that make it to a certain threshold. At the end of the day, customers want to know that the work that they put into sharing ideas with us is being evaluated fairly, and they want that transparency around these ideas, and that's what we're delivering to them. Switching gears a little bit, I wanted to point out some of these stats. This is actually from the another speaker at CMX, Erica Cool, and this is from the Salesforce community team when she was on that team at the time. But there is ROI that proves that community engagement drives important company level metrics such as higher product adoption, lower attrition, and more pipeline. And I strongly urge you, if you're not really understanding or working with your sales teams and metrics, to at least have a rudimentary understanding. This is going to be really key to communities that are in an organization that are driven by sales. I think that will help you build your credibility as a community builder. So knowing that data, we wanted to focus on catalyzing early adopters, our most active members in our community, to evangelize our products and releases in our company. Here's just some examples of companies that are doing it so well. They're best in class. Microsoft's MVP program, Salesforce's MVP program, Atlassian, and Autodesk. And I'm really proud to say that earlier this year, we launched our own MVP program called Okta Community Leaders. And it's a group of customers that run the gamut from high tech companies to partnerships to nonprofits. And they're a great group of people that not only help us get the Okta word out, they also give us that tough, constructive feedback that we need about our products, our experiences, and our community roadmap. So I've just thrown a lot of information at you. You may be wondering, so what does this all mean to you? I just captured it in 5 quick bullets, and hopefully this is helpful. Number 1, invest your time and resources wisely. Number 2, set up and manage realistic expectations. I'm a yes person myself. I love to say yes to everything. That feels good in the moment. Believe me, it will not feel good later when you end up disappointing a lot of people. So you want to make sure they're realistic expectations you're setting. Third, this is related, be ruthless with your prioritization, right? You know what needs to get done because you've set your strategy and your framework, right? So you can make the tough decisions. And as the strategic leader of the team, it's my job to be ruthless with prioritization and also be accountable if we need to switch paths midstream. Fourth is building partnerships with cross-functional teams. As I mentioned through several examples, it's so important that it isn't just a community team talking up the community, right? So you want to build partnerships with other teams to help uplift them, help them shine, create shared goals with other teams, and they can be better advocates for you and vice versa. And last but not least, show your results through data and storytelling, consistent data and storytelling, and make sure to adjust those narratives and data to suit the audience you're communicating to. So you shouldn't have the exact same presentation you would deliver to your C-suite as you would deliver to your manager. So those are some of the tips I'd like to leave you with. So let's do this. Let's go out and continue building great communities for our customers and our teams. Thanks so much for your time. I'll flip it over back to Valentina to lead the Q&A.
Hello,
Okay.
thanks. I'm going to give you another round of applause, and I'm sure everybody else in the chat is also doing that too.
That's cool. You have all the goodies, Valentina.
All right, let's move to some Q&A then. So I'm going to look through the chat. If you have a question for Phoebe, please put it in the chat. And I think we have one here from John. What are some tactics/deliverables you use to do your storytelling internally, e.g. internal emails, Slack messages, etc.?
Yeah, all of the above. Who's that question from, Tom?
John.
Oh, John. Hi, John. Thanks for the question. Yes. Another role that you play, because, community builders, we need more jobs. You have to be an exceptional communicator. And if you're not yet, that's okay. You need to work on it. You need to hit all the channels. You need to be able to talk live, jump on Zooms. When we're back in offices, be able to run into somebody in the elevator, do your pitch. But you also want to make sure you're combining the ad hoc with the consistent, right? Having any kind of monthly updates that show your data, posting in the most popular Slacks, creating your own Slack. Our team runs our own internal Slack that we invite people to, sometimes without their permission. I just put them in there if they ask about community, and they can leave later if they want. And it's also important to get that message out externally, right? So yesterday, we put together some enablement content that hit customers externally. So we posted an external group for customers, then that flowed everywhere else. And that you'll see that thread through any vehicle that we can get it in. And again, it shouldn't sound exactly the same. So switching it up for the audiences is helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Brian says, what does personalization look like for the Okta community?
Great question. There's a lot of different ways to approach this, right? So the Okta community is mostly, for now, made up of Okta administrators. These are people that build on Okta. We also have Okta developers. So we don't yet, in our community, have content that's just geared and experiences is just geared for these audiences. So what we want to work on is creating experiences like the hubs that I mentioned before. What are the kind of hubs that we need to help propel developers and admins to do their work better? We also want to make sure that the end users, right, the people that the Okta admins serve at their organizations are taken care of. And that's an area that there currently is a gap. So we want to create experiences around that. And that could range from having like a guided tour. So if our system, because it's linked up to Salesforce, should be able to read that someone is an end user and serve up content experience that's relevant to that person as soon as they enter the community. So it's something we're not there yet, but that's a North Star to aim for. And there's lots of other things you can do. You can look at what products and features have already been adopted by a member and kind of serve up content that way. What have they not adopted that absolutely needs to get looked at, serve up different content that way as well. So lots of work to do there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next question then is from Crystal. What is the timeline in which this took to come together? Yeah, I think it was a thing you was talking about.
Good question, Crystal. So overall, this ran almost 2 calendar years, because you can imagine the time to hire the team. We count that as well. It's important, right? That takes a good quarter sometimes. So I would say everything from end to end, about 2 calendar years. So be kind to yourselves. Don't expect, and that's where I mentioned about managing the expectations. Don't expect that everything's going to come together overnight. It's not going to. If it's a great strategy, it's got to be something that's thoughtful, but you can look for the small wins, the tiny tweaks that can make your strategy sing.
Definitely. All right, I'm moving to the Q&A feature. So if you do have a further question, pop it in there, because we're moving from one to the other. So Marissa says, I love that concept, going where the customers are. How do you balance your branded digital community and engaging in these spaces? Do you think interacting on fan communities, for example, may take away from the official digital space?
That's a good question. It's very meaty. Yeah, I mean, given that we're only a team of 3, we have to be careful with the time, right? If I'm working a 10-hour day, I cannot spend 4 of those hours on an external industry Slack. But what can I commit to? I think that's something that my team and I are trying to figure out, because we know that there's value there. So our job now is to really figure out how much time do we spend, how much kind of impact are we seeing? And it's important to be where customers want to hang out, right? It's interesting, like some of the community leaders that the program that we launched with our super users, they're hanging out everywhere. They're in the help center, they're online on their socials, and they're in industry Slacks. So we want to make sure we're not just reaching out to them when we need something, that we're there hanging with them when they're just talking shop or complaining about something, and we're there. But I think it's setting up realistic expectations that we can't be everywhere all the time.
No, definitely. I completely agree. All right. Freddie says, how are you measuring engagement? Are there key metrics that you would recommend community teams to track?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think you definitely need to tailor the metrics for what your organization finds important, and also the stage your community's at. So I showed you the active membership slide, right? So that's great that the active membership went up, right, from a stagnant point. I still track that, but that's not my number 1 metric anymore, because we've made progress there, and it's considered for me a health metric, something we want to make sure stays on track, goes up into the right over time. We actually focus on something called self-service score. This is actually a score created by Zendesk that we modified for Okta. And what that does is measure, I think you take the amount of unique visitors divided by the amount of unique cases that are filed, because people are able to file cases when they come to the community, and it comes up with a ratio, with a number. So we want, the higher that number, the better we're doing in self-service. So that's what we're really looking at, is the self-service. On the other end, we're also looking at job completion. So when people come to the community for a specific reason, they could come to look at a specific knowledge article. Did they complete their job? Were they able to find what they looking for or not? If someone is coming from peer-to-peer learning and they're not getting what they need, that's a miss, right? So it's making sure that the people that are doing specific jobs, that we are tailoring experiences for them.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Thanks.
All right, we've got lots more questions. Remember to use the Q&A. You can actually, if you see a question that you like, you can click the thumbs up, and that will give you an indication that more people are interested in the answer to this question. So Carol says, what community software platform do you use?
We're currently using Salesforce Community Cloud, and our company uses Salesforce as our CRM, our customer relationship management database. So it's very helpful for us because customer cases are tied to our community. And we also, of course, the accounts are tied to our community. So we actually want to spend more time diving into, does the community also help customers adopt products better? Is the community another way for leads to be generated, right? Obviously, lead generation is not the main point of a community, but if it's a byproduct, we want to definitely tout that impact and be able to get more credibility with different stakeholders across our company.
All right. Okay, Freddie has got a question and 7 other people are really interested in this. So how did you best demonstrate the value of community teams and investing in the restructuring to ensure org-wide buy-in?
Well, actually, I was part of the new team form. So prior to that, my manager, Christy Garofalo, who's actually on the chat right now, she did an amazing job. I saw some of the decks and she's told me about how all the internal influence and work that she did to build the case for the team, right? That took a lot of time and really concentrated expertise and data to show. The thing is, there's no community, there's no leadership team that's like anti-community. Let's get that established. Nobody is against helping customers and connecting. They just want to understand, if we're going to put in time and money and resources, what are we hoping to get back? What's the expectation? I can't take credit for that. I'm doing that work now as I'm in the role, but prior to us forming, Christy's really the mastermind behind getting us all together.
Okay, we've got a few more minutes left. I want to get through as many more questions. So Nikki
Cool.
says, what is the best tip to build cross-collaboration?
Oh, yeah, good one. I think number one is go into conversations and relationships not asking for anything. Because if you go and you're like, I want, you need to, I think it's very hard to get people to buy in there. You got to save that. You got to go in thinking, what is it that I can offer this team, this person? So like I mentioned during my talk, one example was the marketing team and how they run their user groups, right? If I approached it with, I need 15 minutes to talk about community, I don't know how well that would be received, but if it's, hey, can I help set up chairs? And if you have any slots available, we'd love to jump in and talk about the community, because that works together with the user groups. So that kind of strategy, I think, always bodes well for us. It's hard work building relationships, no matter who the partner is, because it's a delicate balance. So you have to earn trust with your partners every day through every interaction.
All right. Marissa says, how dependent do you think growth is on the platform used?
What's the question again?
How dependent do you think growth is on the platform used?
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yes, so we're using Community Cloud. I don't think it's the platform itself. I think part of it is we are benefiting from strong headwinds of Okta. Okta as a company is doing well, right? So customers get provisioned when they sign up for Okta and they become an Okta admin, they get provisioned for a community account. This doesn't mean they have to log in. There's people get provisioned who never log in. That's that. But our job is to make sure, okay, great. Knowing that everyone gets provisioned, we got a little bit of a start. We're not starting at 0. So we have no excuse but to make sure we can drive up not only the number of total logins, but unique logins, and also look at what other different experiences people are taking advantage of. So I would say the platform doesn't have much to do with growth. It's really like your brain, your heart, using the data that you have.
All right. Kathy says, could you please share the tiny tweaks that Okta has made?
Ooh, there's so many little things. There's so many, but I can talk about a few that just shipped a couple weeks ago that we just wrote the enablement for recently. We had a groups directory page, right? Groups are an area where customers can go and join, different kind of affinity groups, right? If they're looking for news about Okta, product information, we have all different groups, but the groups directory page was really kind of a sad sight, right? The group names were truncated. The default view was on groups you're part of, but if you're part of no groups, your default view is 0 groups. So, those are things that seem so tiny, but package them all up together and showing the customers, look, it's not just splashy things we're doing, right? Customers want to know you're consistently making updates and not waiting around for things to be done. And it's not just the big updates that will really impact somebody. Because if we're hearing, which we are, hey, I don't know where to find the groups, and I don't find that directory very intuitive, then it's our job to make that better with what we have.
All right. Okay, last question. Jessica says, how do you improve your communication skills if that's an area you want to work on?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, I mean, I've been working for quite a while, so I've been definitely focused on, I think first is just being able to tell a story. We do that all the time, you know, whether, and about introvert, extrovert, let's move that over because I know those are factors, but thinking about telling a story, telling it to a friend. If I'm just telling Valentina a story about, Valentina, listen to what we're doing in the community, and taking that and bringing that to people in a broader audience, right? So if you excel at verbal communications and maybe your written is not as good, lean really into that verbal comms and see who can help you with the written, right? Or just decide to go with, okay, my written is going to be okay. It's going to be a B-, but my verbal's A+, and vice versa. So I think you want to lean into your strengths versus focusing on everything you're doing wrong, because my gosh, I mean, then I would get nothing done because lots of stuff is wrong.
Definitely. All right, that's all we've got time for right now, but I can see there is other questions. So how can people get in touch with you to ask their further questions, Phoebe?
Sure, a few different ways. You can hit me up on Twitter. My handle is Pheebkat, P-H-E-E-B-K-A-T. I'm also hopping in and out of the CMX hub on FB from time to time. So those are good ways to reach me. And then the Okta community is community.okta.com. But it might not be as relevant for you if you're not an Okta customer interested in Okta, but I would welcome you there too.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, once again, please give it up for Phoebe Venkat. Wonderful presentation, and we got through so many questions. I hope that was helpful for everybody watching and listening. We're taking a quick break now, so fuel up. And if you would like to try some mindful meditation, head over to the main stage for Lauren Trevis, who's going to be doing that. And I will see you back after the break. Don't forget, there's networking happening. There's the photo booth. There's the other booths. You can go into the bookstore. There's so much going on. It's hard to choose. So I'll be back in 30 minutes with our next speaker. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Valentina.